Just got a new puppy or kitten. Congrats, but also, yikes. Between crates, beds, toys, treats, and those first few vet visits, you've probably already dropped a small fortune, which is where Lemonade Pet Insurance comes in. It helps cover vet costs so you can focus on what's best for your new pet. The coverage is customizable, sign up is quick and easy, and your claims are handled in as little as 3 seconds. Pro tip, Lemonade offers a package specifically for puppies and kittens. Get a quote at lemonade.com/pet. Your future self will thank you. Your pet won't. They don't know what insurance is.
Welcome to the Trip Tales podcast with me, Kelsey Graves. Let's jump into a new episode exploring a vacation destination that you'll want all the details about. Hey everyone, welcome back to Trip Tales, the podcast where real people share their real trip stories to give listeners destination inspiration and practical planning tips. Today, we are escaping to Grand Cayman for a couples trip with my guest, Rhea, from the Travel Party of Five podcast. So welcome, Rhea. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about this place and this hotel that we stayed at.
I start every episode with a rapid fire get to know you. So tell everyone where you live, what you do, and about your family.
So I live in Phoenix, Arizona, in the East Valley. I work in software sales in my day job, and my fun little moonlighting side hustle is Points and Miles travel content creation. My husband and I have been married and together for over 12 years. We have 3 kids, and they are 11, 8, and 5.
Perfect. And your podcast artwork says, Travel Party of 5, one school break at a time. And let me tell you, that resonates with me on all levels. Yes. And you also play the Points and Miles game a bit. I always say this isn't a Points and Miles podcast, but what's your super high level journey with Points and Miles?
So essentially, we took a trip to Disneyland a few years ago and it spent literally $10,000. And I thought, I don't know how people afford to go on vacation more than once every few years if this is what it costs. Stumbled across the Points and Miles kind of atmosphere and ecosystem and dove in headfirst. And we have been using that to fund a lot of our travels over the last couple of years. So it's been a really fun little game, I think, for me to play.
Yeah, amazing. I know I always say this travel stuff and learning Points and Miles and the whole thing, it's just like a hobby. I would do it anyways, but it's fun to be on the podcast and share what we're learning with other people.
Yes, I didn't find a ton about families using Points and Miles when I was first starting to learn about it. And so that was a big reason behind me starting to create content around chronologing what we're doing and how we're doing it, because I was searching for that and couldn't find it. So yeah.
Definitely a lot of the stuff out there is couples and their videos are amazing and their business class and, Emirates trips look amazing. But when you try to put 5 people on a plane overseas, that gets harder and the points get eaten up really quick. So yes. I appreciate people like you that are sharing family stuff because it is a trickier and a different game. So you went to Grand Cayman in July 2024. Yes. Tell us why you booked this trip in the first place.
So originally, we actually had a completely different trip booked. We were going to go to New York City. We did that the year prior, and we both love New York. It's a great time. But I just kind of was like, you know what? It doesn't have the relaxing vibes that I'm really going for this little couples getaway. We try to do a couple of these every year without the kids. And so I had these points that I had previously earned, and they were kind of sitting there doing nothing. And I thought, you know what? Let me see if I can make a trip to Grand Cayman happen instead. And it was by far the best choice.
Amazing.
I'm like, I don't know why I was thinking going to a city would be fun. I mean, it is fun, but it's not the relaxing kind of getaway that you need as a parent to 3 crazy children.
Yes, I know. We used to say twice a year and it's starting to become once a year. The kids are just so busy that it's hard to offload that on someone else. I'm like, let me write you 4 pages of notes. Whereas in the summer, it's so much easier because they don't have as much going on. Maybe one's away at a camp. And so we're finding that leaving during the summer for our couples trip is working better. We've done that the last couple of years, and I think we'll stick with that for a little while. But it is so important to get away. And it's sometimes it feels hard, but the second you get even in the car and you're driving to the airport, you're like, oh my gosh, we did it. You're like, hi, what's your name? Nice to see you again.
Yes, I literally just said that to someone. They were like, oh, I'm leaving my kids for the first time. And I think their kids were 4 or 5 or something. And I said, my best advice is the hardest part is leaving. And once you are gone, it's so much easier. So you
Hmm.
just have to get gone.
Yeah, get gone. And then once you get there and you like sit on your pool chair or your balcony chair, you're like talking about your kids. It's so
Yes.
funny.
Oh,
You're like,
yes. All
why
the
are we just
time.
talking about our kids the whole
Yes.
time?
Looking at their pictures. Yes. Every time.
Yes. Okay, so this was a couple's trip, you and your husband. How did you get from Phoenix to Grand Cayman?
So we last year had actually two Southwest companion passes. So we pretty much limited our air travel to only Southwest for that reason. At the time, Southwest, actually, when I searched Phoenix to Grand Cayman on their website, didn't have a route for it. They do now because now they do red eye flights. So when I looked yesterday, I was like, oh, every single one of these flights is an overnight red eye flight.
Oh, funny.
What I ended up doing last year was I booked four separate flights. So I did some Googling. I figured out that Southwest flew a daily flight out of Orlando to Grand Cayman. And so I booked us Phoenix to Orlando. We stayed overnight in the Orlando airport. And then I booked us Orlando to Grand Cayman. And we
Awesome.
used a combination of points and cash for those flights.
Yeah, because as my listeners know, I'm always like if you're going to do one thing and just try to do your first step in points and miles, get a Chase Sapphire Preferred and start
Yes.
transferring those points to Hyatt. It's the easiest thing to do. It's where other than Southwest Companion and that sort of thing, I'd already figured out. But Chase was the next thing. And it's like blown my mind. I have an episode about it where I'm just like, my husband's such a budgeter. And I'm like, this one was free and this hotel was free also. He's like, what? How are you doing this? I'm like, do you trust me now?
Yes. Yes.
But
Are you sold?
yeah, I'm saying that because the hotel at the Orlando airport is a Hyatt and it's
Yes.
comes highly recommended and clean and lovely from a lot of people. So if you need a stopover in Orlando, that's like an easy place to use some Hyatt points.
That's exactly what we did. We actually had a free night certificate that we were able to use. Unfortunately, I think that hotel has now gone up a category and you can't use the free nights, but you can still use points. And it's literally inside the airport. So I think we landed at it was after midnight. And it was just so easy. We just went, found the entrance and went and checked in.
Yeah, you don't even need
It
to like
took
get
like
in a
15
shuttle.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to say that I just think is so funny is I had heard like maybe 6 months ago or a year ago that Southwest, and I hadn't even really realized this, but that they didn't have any red eye overnight flights. And I thought that's so funny because everybody else does. And then I read this article that said the reason they don't is because their system was so antiquated, it couldn't like change days from like, March 6th to March 7th in a travel period. And I was like, can someone get a computer nerd on this? Like, this feels unreal. So they finally updated their system and now they can do red eye flights. It's amazing.
Yes. The unfortunate piece is, I don't know about you, but I'm 42 and I have no desire to take a red eye flight unless I'm flying to like Europe or somewhere much more exotic,
I'm
So,
also 42 and I also have I don't even like a 6 or 7 a.m. flight anymore. I'm like, can we take the 10? Like, who wants to wake up at 4 a.m.?
yes.
So yeah, I
Yes,
agree with that
same.
completely. But it is nice that there's more options and maybe it'll spread some people out on the flights we want to take.
True. That's true. Yes.
Okay, so you land at the Grand Cayman Airport, and how do you get to Kimpton Seafire from the airport?
So we took a taxi. I want to say it was around $30. They have taxis waiting right out front, super easy. And it was maybe a 15-minute drive to the hotel, so not far at all. They do drive on the left-hand side there. So I actually didn't know that. And so that was just a fun little treat for me
Yeah,
when we got
fun
in. I
little
was like, oh,
excursion. You're like, whoa, here we go.
yes. But something to keep, if you're planning to rent a car, which if I were going to bring my kids, I would. So just something to keep in mind for that.
Okay, good to know. Had you been to Grand Cayman before this?
I had been there once on a cruise, so only like a few hours really. So I don't really count that. I don't know, it was a while ago. So this felt like my first time
Yeah.
going.
And so as you're driving over to your hotel and you're about to arrive, what are you feeling? Like, what are the vibes of Grand Cayman? Is it, islands can be so different. Some are like commercialized, some are honestly a little run down, some are beautiful. Like, what are you feeling as you're driving over to the resort?
That's such a good question. I am feeling really excited because I know that we're staying at a very nice hotel and I love a good hotel. And I've just heard such good things about it. So I was excited, like I know they have like a welcome drink and like, are we going to get an upgrade? It's like the anticipation. Spoiler alert, we did not get an upgrade, but
Oh, boo.
it's okay. It was still wonderful.
Tell us about arriving to the hotel, kind of what those vibes are in the lobby. You said you were hoping for a welcome drink. I'm always hoping for a welcome drink. How was it
Yes.
arriving to the Kimpton Seafire?
Wonderful. So there's, the bellmen greet you as soon as the taxi drives up. They handle all your bags. We walked in. There was a big group checking in front of us, so we did have to wait a bit, but they immediately gave us a welcome drink and like a little chocolate kind of treat. That was very good. And we checked in. Our room wasn't quite ready, so we ended up going to one of the restaurants and having lunch. It was 1 or 2 p.m., I think, when we landed. So it was around lunchtime. And so we get our welcome drink, we hang out, and then we walk to the restaurant. And I still like I'm wearing leggings and sneakers, and it's hot, okay, because we're there. It's the end of July, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's okay, it's very warm. But we walk to this restaurant. It's called Coco Loba, one of the restaurants on property, and all we see in front of us is just the most beautiful turquoise, crystal clear water that maybe I've ever seen in my life. And we were both like, wow. And then immediately started taking pictures and texting it to everyone we know. Like, look at this
Yes.
place.
You're like, we
Yes.
have arrived. We're on vacation. I totally know that feeling you're talking about because I've had it so many times when you're like in this gorgeous place and you're in leggings and socks and sneakers and a backpack.
Yes.
I'm like,
Oh,
oh, I
yes,
just
the
remember
backpack.
showing up
Yep.
to my 40th
Yes.
birthday in Cancun. And I was like, where do I ditch these leggings?
Yes, it was very hot. And we actually, the restaurant is like kind of an outdoor vibey restaurant. And so we ate lunch, it was warm, but I mean, the view was just incredible.
Sounds amazing. And I believe you booked this room on points. So tell us how you did that. Kimpton is IHG, is that right?
Yes, it is IHG. So a few key things to know is with IHG, if you have one of their credit cards, you can get the fourth night free on points bookings. So I knew we were going to stay 4 nights because obviously I want the free night. I had almost enough points to book the 4 nights, and I needed a few extra, and the easiest way to do that is to buy them. And so out of pocket, including the points that we purchased, I think we ended up spending $481 total for all 4 nights. And
Amazing.
that includes roughly $160 of points that we bought. And then IHG charges $80 per day as a resort fee. And when you book with points, that is not covered like it is with some other hotel brands. So we paid the $80 a day for the resort fee plus the 160, and so
Okay.
under $500 out of pocket for,
Amazing.
I mean, I think the cash price was over 3,500. So I felt pretty good about that. And I think the cash price is even higher when you're there in peak season. We were there in what is technically considered hurricane season, so more of a low season.
Yeah. Congrats. I know. Sometimes that resort fee of like especially $80, you're a little like, what, why? This is crazy. And on Hyatt, I do know that the resort fee is covered when you book on points, which is so awesome.
Yes,
But then you add it all up and you look back and you think, okay, this is like how much it costs to stay at a nice hotel for 1 night. And we're here for
right.
4 nights. So like, bravo.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you attempted an upgrade. It didn't work out. We always say, try, but hey, you're still at a gorgeous hotel. So tell us what the room was like that you booked.
So our room was, I believe it's called a Premium King Ocean View room. That's what we booked. So a little bit of a kitschy design, kind of some bold colors on the walls and like the nightstands. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But you walk in the room and immediately what you see is the ocean and the
Amazing.
beach, and you're overlooking the pool, which is stunning. And then there's, the beach chairs and obviously the sand in the water. And I mean, you're just like, wow. Like as soon as you open the door, wow. I mean, the room it's a basic hotel room, right? There's a bathroom, there's a shower,
Yeah.
there's the bed. We did have a little balcony, so that was nice. We would sit out there at night and just
So
like,
was there like two chairs on the balcony? You could actually enjoy
yes,
time on
it
it?
was actually like
Nice.
a little couch. Yeah.
Oh, cute. Give us an overview of the grounds and how it's kind of laid out. So kind of the pool or pools. I don't know if there's more than one, and the beach and kind of walking around the grounds.
So the hotel is one of the higher hotels on the beach. It's located on 7 Mile Beach. If you're familiar with Grand Cayman, if you're not, that is like a very long stretch of beautiful beach. And there is one kind of pool area. And so the pool, like when you look out from your ocean view room, you see the pool and everything first, and then there's several rows of beach chairs, and then obviously the water. There are cabanas that you can rent right in front. We never chose to do that. They were pretty expensive, in my opinion, like $300+.
I always think
Uh,
they're expensive. I'm like, who's doing this? I mean, maybe someday I'll be like just throwing around hundreds to get a cabana, but I'm also like, here's a chair right next
I
to
mean,
it.
there were people in them, so I'm like, okay, but
Yeah.
that's not something I'd spend my money on. But when you walk up to the kind of beach area, they have sunscreen that you can use and like cucumber water and maybe even bug spray too. And then there's an attendant there who will help you get your chair set up. So they'll bring towels to the chair and there's little flags on the chairs so you can raise it if you need service. And
Love a
the
flag on a
service,
chair. I don't
I
see that
know, yes.
everywhere, but I'm like, I don't want to have to be waving someone down. Love to like flip up my little flag and be like, I'm ready for my beverage.
Yes, yes, I love that as well. There's one kind of bigger pool. We actually never went to the pool, which is funny because I feel like when we have the kids, we spend more time at the pool than we do at the beach or the ocean. But when there's no kids getting sand everywhere, like you can go to the beach as long as you want.
Yeah.
But the pool was beautiful. There was, people cleaning it all the time, so it always looked really clean, which I appreciate. And then the other thing I think is important about the water itself, like the ocean, is it's very calm. So that was the first thing I thought is I could bring my kids here, especially my little 5-year-old who's very tiny, and she could easily play in this water without me having mom anxiety that she's going to get sucked out into the ocean, you know?
Yes. I love a calm beach. Did
Yes.
you see a lot of kids? Do you feel like this is a kid-friendly hotel or is it more adult oriented?
Yes. No, it's definitely kid friendly. We saw a lot of families and we were like, we need to bring our kids back here. And I definitely think we will at some point. I just really struggle with like, I always want to go to someplace new, you
Yeah,
know? So
exactly. And then is there any sort of entertainment being run around the pool or is it more of like a chill, everybody relax and do your own thing type of resort?
more of a chill, relax and do your own thing type of thing. They did come around. So the service was the thing that stood out at this hotel more than anything. I mean, obviously it's a beautiful location, like it cannot be beat, but the service and the little touches are what I think put it over the top for us. So let me give you a couple of examples. We were there for my birthday. My birthday was like the week after we came back, and we had noted that in our reservation. And I think they maybe brought me 4 different birthday desserts through various meals that we had on the property. And like they would call us by name when we would go to the attendant waiting by the beach chairs. By day 2, they knew us by name.
That's
The
impressive.
like the people at the restaurants when we would check in were like, oh, like they again called us by name, and we're like, wow. And then they would come around during the day with one day was popsicles just for a little treat. Here you go. Would you like a frozen popsicle? Of course I would. Or my favorite was, would you like a frozen sugared grape while you sit by the beautiful ocean? Yes, I would love that.
Yes, it's like you're a queen being like
Yes.
fanned by palm leaves and frozen grapes. I love it.
Yes, it was fantastic. So all of those little touches, I think, really made it extra special. And I thought, oh my God, my kids would love this also.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, what kid wouldn't be like a free popsicle, free sugar
Yes.
grapes? Amazing.
If you're looking for expert guidance on finding your dream home, a place to start your next chapter, or getting in the door in your first home, chances are your family is trying to weigh in. Like your aunt who knows the perfect place for you and likes to say, if I'm being honest, a bit too often. Or your savvy family member who swears by an app. But it's not enough to just know you. You need someone who gets you. Someone who can make homeownership possible on your budget. Who can look at what seems insurmountable and confidently say, this is the way. Only a realtor can guide you every step of the way, with equal parts resilience and hope. Because no one cares more about helping Californians live the California dream than realtors. So, all due respect to your aunt, but get the expertise from the best at championsofhome.com. California Association of Realtors. Who's your realtor?
What were the restaurant choices? Were there a lot? How many were there? And did you feel like you needed to leave or did you guys just stay put in terms of food?
So we ate most of our food on property, but I will say it's pretty pricey. And so if we were going to bring our kids there, we would not do that. We would do very differently. But the goal of this trip was just to relax and not have to really stress or worry about anything. So there are three main restaurants. There's Coco Loba, which is like the kind of beachfront open air vibe. I do think they have like live music maybe on weekend nights. And then there's Ave and Ave Cita, which are indoor, like more fine dining restaurants on property. The confusing part is that Ave and Ave Cita are in the same dining room.
That is
So
very confusing, and they sound the same. It almost
yes,
sounds like Ave Sita is the little sister of Ave. Are they kind of like connected in some way, menu-wise?
so they have completely different menus, which I think also threw us off. I don't know. I'm assuming this was a space thing, maybe. But
Okay, funny.
so Ave, we ate there twice. We really, really enjoyed it. This is more, I think they describe it on the website as like Mediterranean style. I don't know that that's how I thought of it, but there were a few dishes we had that were very good. They had like mussels in like a Chardonnay cream sauce, which I
Yum.
love. They had a really good burrata dish. We had steak with like truffle butter there one night. So very good. And then Ave Cita is more of a tapas restaurant. And we actually didn't love that one as much. I did try octopus, which I now know I don't really enjoy,
Oh, I
but
love octopus.
I was
It's
my
definitely it's chewy and it has to be done right. But if it's like charred and blackened and kind of crispy, it can be really good. But it's not for everybody.
it was the chewy part that I was like,
Yeah.
no, this isn't for me. Um, so yes, Ave we really enjoyed. Ave Cita not as much, but I think maybe if you're into tapas, by all means, give it a try. And then I think they also have like a pantry area. We didn't really purchase anything other than coffee from there, but they had like muffins and stuff that you could buy for breakfast. So
Yeah. What was your daily breakfast plan?
we also ate breakfast at Ave. They do a buffet or you can order off the menu. My husband generally will do a buffet. I can't eat enough to justify the cost of a buffet, so I usually order off the menu. The breakfast was very good, and they did come around one day with like these free, I think they were called power shots, like juice shots that they gave us that I later looked on the menu and was like, these cost $7 each. But
Nice.
they were just handing them out. So again, the little touches I think were really nice here.
The open air restaurant, I forgot what that one was called.
That is called Coco Loba.
Coco Loba. Could you eat breakfast there outside, or was the only option the Ave buffet?
I don't think they have a breakfast menu. I think they start serving at lunch.
Okay, just curious.
I'm
I love
s-
like an outdoor looking over the ocean breakfast moment.
yeah, I ordered this shrimp roll the first day we got there, and then I proceeded to order it every day for lunch after that. But
Amazing.
I looked on their menu and I don't think they have it anymore. Like the menu looks very different. And I like
Sad.
still think about that shrimp roll because it was so good. And I looked because I was like, I'm gonna see what it's called. And I was like, it's gone. So I don't know if
Maybe
they
we can
changed
send
it,
them this
but
episode and they'll bring it back.
they should. It was so good.
Was that like
Yes.
poolside, beachside that you'd order that?
Yes. And it actually wasn't on the pool menu that you could order from, but I asked them if if I could order it and they said yes. So
Maybe it's on like a secret menu. And if you go back, you can be
maybe.
like, I know about the shrimp roll, so I need
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, the food sounds
Someone
good.
do that and report back to us, please.
Yes. Yeah. Let us know if the shrimp roll is still there. And then in terms of drinks, in your notes, you had said that there's a happy hour in the lobby every day from 5 to 6. And I think this is a Kimpton thing because I've been to a Kimpton recently. And right when we showed up at 5, they were like, happy hour, which I just love. It's like so
Yes.
nice little touch. So did you guys visit that?
Every day.
Fun.
Yes. Promptly at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And my husband would like get a glass of wine and then like 10 minutes later would be like, now you go get the wine, you know? And I'm like, I don't think they care if you're having a couple glasses. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think we have to be secretive about it. But yes, so it's free happy hour. They have a red and a white wine typically. And then they also do have like a juice box if you do have kids with you. And they had like a little appetizer for adults. And they also had like little gummy fruit snack packets for kids.
So
So
cute. I know it really is
yes,
sounding like it could go either way, a great couples trip or a fun family trip. I love that.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, and there's a spa there that you visited, I believe.
Yes, I did visit the spa. I splurged. We were going to do a couples massage, but my husband saw the price and said, nope. He said, I'd rather ride a jet ski. So we can talk about that in a minute. But I did a 90-minute massage and it was wonderful. The spa was beautiful. I spent, I think, around 3 hours total, just kind of enjoying, like, the quiet room, and they have the tea and all that fun stuff. And so I did all the things and it was fantastic.
And
Highly
was there an
recommend.
outdoor pool area for you to relax in, or was that all indoors?
That was all indoors.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
relax at the spa, but when you're ready to get back outside, you need to leave the spa.
Yes. You know what? I kind of take that back. There was one area, so the spa was like kind of underground. There was one area where there was like a, hot tub and all that you could go to. You were not outdoors, but there was a part that was open to the outdoors, if that makes sense. And they had a lot of plants and greenery and stuff. So you're indoors, but you kind of get the vibe that you're outside a little bit.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've just been to some spas where there is a separate outdoor pool for the spa with like attendants. And so you kind of still can have that like I'm on
Yes.
vacation feel without having to like be like, okay, my spa day's done if I want to go sit by like a proper pool again. So I just wanted to like make sure I understood. But I do love a spa on a trip and they are so expensive. It seems like they're getting more
I
expensive.
know.
Every time I look up a hotel I'm going to and I look at the spa treatment, I'm kind of like your husband. I'm like, really? But then
Yeah.
when you're there, you're like, it's worth it. You're so relaxed and you don't make time for it at
Yes.
home. So yeah, that's a tricky one, but I feel like it's worth it when you splurge on it.
100%. As a side note, the Grand Hyatt Scottsdale has what you're describing in their spa. Like it's like an outdoor pool area with like a mineral pool that you can go to, and you can order like food and drinks and stuff there. And it's very
And I'm
nice.
going there soon. And so I'm going to get on that website right after this.
Yes,
And I
go
am
look.
going to potentially book myself a treatment as long
I
as
would
it's not over
recommend it.
$300.
Well, there's got to be something, right?
Yeah,
There's
right.
got to be something there that's under.
Yeah. Sometimes there's a day pass, which is actually kind of nice because you enjoy the amenities, but not like get a treatment.
Mm.
Okay, let's talk about other excursions or activities that you did. You mentioned a jet ski. Did your husband get to ride one?
Yes, so he did a jet ski. He rented it through the hotel. I'm pretty sure it was around $90 and he had a half an hour. And he was kind of like a half an hour, like that's not very much. But by the end, he was like, actually, it was a good amount of time. Like it was fine. And so he took a few videos. It did look beautiful. The water is still so blue and he had a great time. We also did included in the resort fee that we talked about. So you do feel like you're getting your money's worth. You can rent paddle boards from the hotel right on the beach. And I'm sorry, I say rent, but it's free. It's included in your resort fee. So we did paddle boards one day. You can get snorkel gear and go snorkeling. So we did that. There's a reef right there. So especially if you're bringing kids and maybe you're not sure how they'll do snorkeling, this would be a really great place for them to start because it's literally right off the beach and you don't have to go far and the water's not deep.
And
So
how pretty was the coral reef? Was it like colorful?
the fish were colorful.
Okay,
The
yeah.
reef, I feel like not so much, but the fish were
And you
fun to
saw
see.
like a good amount of sea life?
We
That's
saw a good
cool.
amount. Yeah.
That's fun.
And then as far as like off property, we did do one excursion. I tried to think of this through like what can we do that we couldn't take our kids to? So we did a bioluminescence tour. There's a bioluminescence bay there, and there's only a few in the world. So I thought, okay, that's like let's do that. And so I booked it through Viator. And I can send you the link to the one that we did if you want to put it in the show notes because I would recommend it. It was good. So you get on a boat, you go to Starfish Point, and I will say the boat ride is maybe 20-25 minutes. We got to Starfish Point right as the sun was setting, and so that was actually my favorite part of the excursion. It was not the bio bay, which was also cool, but it was just stunning. And the water is again so clear. You can see all these starfish of different sizes, and they kind of tell you like how to best handle them and like don't put them above the water and that kind of thing.
That is so cool.
And
So did you get
it was
in
so
with the
cool.
starfish?
Yes. So you get in the water and they're just, I mean, yeah, we probably saw 20 and
Wow.
some of them were huge and some of them were really little. It was
That's
very
so
cool.
cool.
And it was just also like the sun was setting, so it was just a beautiful, beautiful like area and view. And then once it's dark, you head over to the bioluminescence bay. They give you like these kind of like wetsuits, but they're a little looser, almost like pajamas, it feels like.
Waterproof
You,
pajamas?
yes, to put on to get in the water. And you get in the water and you like basically like move around your hands or your legs, and that activates the bacteria that glows. And so it's kind of crazy because it doesn't really show up in a video, but it will show up in a picture. It's
That's
very
weird.
interesting. And you can obviously see it when you can see it
This
with
kind of sounds like a
your
sci-fi
eyes.
movie.
Yes, it was interesting. I will say that myself and one other girl on the boat got stung by what I think is a jellyfish, but it wasn't like a full jellyfish sting. It felt, I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't super painful.
Is
And
that why you're in the wetsuit pajama situation?
I think yes, because
Okay.
it's dark and you can't see. And so it's like to help prevent you from getting stung in case there happens to be jellyfish around.
This
They
sounded
also
really cool at first, and now it's starting to scare me.
So it was still cool. I would not take my kids.
Yeah.
Okay, I would not.
They would not
But
do well with a light jellyfish sting. That would be a full-blown meltdown situation in my family.
yes, 100%. And the boat had vinegar spray, which I guess is what you spray on it to like prevent it from stinging more. So they were fully prepared for this and not surprised. So it has to happen fairly often.
Where did you feel the sting?
On my arm, like right here,
Okay.
kind of my hand wrist. Yeah. And
Now,
yeah,
wait,
so
I have another question. So I
yeah.
did watch your stories on this, and I saw that you could see it in photos, but not in videos. Can you see it with your own eyes?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. And I think the other recommendation is try to go on a night where the moon is not as full, right? Because you want it to be as dark as possible. The darker it is, the easier it is for you to see.
Okay. So
Yeah.
get on a astrology website and plan around the moon. So plan
Yes,
your
plan
trip
around
the
the
moon.
moons and the tides and all of that. Yes.
Was it like how bright did it seem to like your natural eye?
I mean, pretty bright. Like it's definitely like, oh yeah, like there it is. Like you can
Okay.
definitely see it.
Cool. I wonder
Yeah,
if there's
but the
tours
fact
like
that
that where you don't have to get in the water.
there is, you can do a kayak tour. Yes.
That sounds cool to
Yes.
me.
Yes. So kayak tour and like the paddling, right, will make the bacteria glow, right?
Yes.
So yes, kayak tour. Because I mean, you are swimming in the dark in the ocean. Like
Yeah, that's also a little
I
nerve-wracking.
I am like I don't have fears around that, but even that is like, oh yeah, it's a little bit nerve.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What if comparing car insurance rates was as easy as putting on your favorite podcast? With Progressive, it is. Just visit the Progressive website to quote with all the coverages you want. You'll see Progressive's direct rate, then their tool will provide options from other companies so you can compare. All you need to do is choose the rate and coverage you like. Quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Wracking.
And then it looks like you guys rented bikes one day, or is that included also in that resort fee?
Also included in the resort fee. I will say if you're planning just to ride bikes like on property, it's a very short ride.
You're
It's
like, oh,
maybe
we're done.
6 minutes. Yes. But you can go off property and kind of ride into like the town. We didn't do that. I was like, that feels stressful to me. People are driving on the wrong side of the road. And like, no, like it also was very hot.
Yeah.
So, but you
Okay.
could do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, we got our money's worth. We biked for 6 minutes and now we're back.
Yep. I was like, I feel good about this.
Okay, awesome.
Back to the beach.
Okay. I know we've talked about a lot of the things that you liked and did and ate. Describe what just like a typical day was like for you guys from sun up to sundown at this resort.
Yes. So wake up whenever we want, right? No kids
Best
waking
part.
us up.
Best
Yes.
part.
Although, I mean, my husband is like up at 6 a.m. no matter what. So
So is
It's
mine.
like-
He's always like gone for a
Yes.
run. And I'm like, can you close the blinds? I'm still trying to sleep.
yeah, yes. So he would usually go and bring me back coffee, which is just, yes, perfect. Thank you. Then we would go downstairs, have breakfast in the hotel, and then go out and try to grab a beach chair with like a decent view, right? Because again, we're not paying for the cabana. So, and then we would, set up there, hang out, maybe have a morning mimosa or something, probably order lunch poolside,
Shrimp roll.
shrimp roll. Yep. then maybe do one of the activities, right? The paddleboarding, the snorkeling, the jet skiing, the bike riding, and then go back to the room, maybe hang out for a bit and just kind of enjoy the air conditioning because it was very hot. It was hot when we were there and very humid. And then get ready for dinner, be prompt for the happy hour at 5 o'clock, go down, sit in the lobby, have some drinks and a couple of light bites. And then we typically had dinner reservations between 6 and 7. And then we would have dinner and go to bed.
You said reservations. Do you feel like people need to make reservations for some of these restaurants in advance?
So we didn't make the reservations before we got there, but we did make them with the concierge once we were there. I think it depends on how busy it is when you're going. Again, we were there at the end of July, so that is technically hurricane season. So I do think it was a little bit of a slower season for them. And so like we could make the reservations the morning of, and it was fine. So I would just check in with the concierge when you get there and see what they recommend because they'll let you know.
Yeah, awesome. You did say in your notes, and we already talked about on this podcast, that you'd be interested in bringing your kids back here and that if you did, you might do things just a little bit differently. So what are some of the things that you would do differently if you brought your family here?
I think number one, I would rent a car. Again, keeping in mind they do drive on the left side of the road. I would make my husband drive the car. He grew up in Tokyo though, and they also drive on the left-hand side. So that's how he learned to drive. So
Perfect.
That would be fine. Yes. And we would not eat on property as much. There are definitely some grocery stores really close that you can go to. We would do that and get like snacks and lunch and breakfast stuff probably, and then plan to eat out, for dinner, probably more in town, not at the hotel. Because again, it was expensive for the two of us. So 5 of us, it would be a lot. And then I would do a couple more excursions. They have Stingray City, which my kids would love. There is a turtle like conservation area. My kids are very into animals and all that, so they would love that. And I would take them to Starfish Point and spend some time there. You can drive there. So I think that would be fun to spend like an afternoon, kind of hang out, let the sun set, and then drive back.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. In being down in Grand Cayman and having researched this trip and everything, do you have your eye on any other properties in Grand Cayman, or are you pretty set as if you went back, this is where you'd want to be?
Since we have been there, they've opened up an Indigo, which is also an IHG property, and that is right next door to the Kimpton Seafire. I would consider staying there if it were just me and my husband. The way that I kind of understand it is that is more of like an adult, like kind of sexy vibe hotel, whereas the Kimpton Seafire can be, more geared towards families. And then Hyatt is opening up a hotel also in Grand Cayman. I think it's supposed to open later this year, but it's been pushed back a lot, so who knows? But it is on the other side of 7 Mile Beach from where the Seafire is. So I have heard the beach area isn't as nice as where the Seafire is. The Seafire is like prime beach area. So I mean, I would check it out because it's Hyatt and the points are just make Hyatt super easy to book. But I worry that I would be disappointed because the Seafire like exceeded all of our expectations. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
yes.
I've also caught wind that Hyatt's opening that hotel, so I'm kind of watching that as well. But this hotel sounds lovely. So if you or I were to go back to this hotel with our families of 5, can you sleep 5 in one room?
You cannot. So I have 2 ways I think I would go about this, depending on what the hotel says. And as a side note, in the United States, I am always booking for 4 and bringing 5 people every time.
And do you tell them or no?
No,
I know.
don't.
Okay, that's kind of happening this summer with us a little bit because I was like on this points journey and I was like, wait, I can't book for 5. And so I'd book for 4. Some of the rooms can sleep us, or a lot of hotel like Reddit threads are like, they don't really care. Ask for a rollaway, don't cause problems. It's not that big of a deal. And I have like a blow up bed for my little list one. But as they're getting bigger, it's kind of getting complicated, to be honest. They're like just bigger people.
Yes, I totally relate to that. So For now, it's been fine for us to all fit in one room. My daughter is 5. She's our youngest and she's pretty small. So like up until this year, she could still sleep in a pack and play. Now she's kind of transitioned to like she'll sleep on a pull-out sofa with her brothers and they still all fit fine. When we take road trips though, we do bring an air mattress with us too, just makes it easier. But so here's what I would do at the Seafire. So if you wanted to book on points, first of all, I would book one room on points and then I would email them to ask, is there a cash price that I could pay to upgrade to a room that would fit 5 people? If no, then I would book 2 rooms using points and I would have, you and your partner open up the same credit card to get enough points. And then I would just email them and ask for a connecting room, which I'm sure they have. So those are kind of the 2 strategies that I would think about. It just depends how much money you want to spend out of pocket.
Yeah. And in this scenario, do you have an IHG credit card?
Yes, I have one IHG credit card.
Okay.
The credit card is the key to getting the 4th night free. So if you have one of their cards, then when you book on points, the 4th night is free.
Got it. And so you have the card, but you could also, this is like getting a little deeper than I even wanted to go, but Chase transfers to IHG. So how does it work when you have Chase points and IHG points in their account? Can you like combine them? Probably not.
I personally wouldn't transfer Chase to IHG only because an IHG point is worth so much less than a Chase point is.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I did it for the Holiday Inn Express Grand Canyon, there was I can't remember what it was, but maybe a 25% like multiplier.
Transfer
so it
bonus,
felt, yeah, it kind of felt, and we needed to stay somewhere. So it felt like a good option at the time. But yeah, the Hyatt transfers, like nothing beats it.
I will say, so it doesn't always make sense to buy points, but with IHG specifically, sometimes it does, because a lot of times they run like a points transfer bonus. So where if you buy like 10,000 points, you'll get an extra 8,000 or 9,000 or 10,000, depending on the percentage. So a lot of times it can just make sense to buy the points and use the points versus paying like a cash rate. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, Rhea, I end every podcast with, if someone listening is considering this trip, what is it about the Kimpton, Seafire, Grand Cayman that would make you say, just book it?
So I'm going to say 2 things. Sorry, breaking the rules. Number 1, the service was absolutely unmatched. We stayed in so many hotels last year, and this was by far our favorite. And the other thing, and this is more just Grand Caymans in general, I think when you go on vacation, it can sometimes be hard to relax because you don't want to miss out on doing all the things that there is to do. And I think one of the best part about the Grand Cayman is there isn't that much to do. It's a small island, right? There's a few, Stingray City, the turtles, there's a few things, but you can do that in a few hours and then also be back to relax and not feel guilty that you're missing things. So that was my experience. And I think like it was just such a nice reset.
Yes. If you or your family needs a reset, this is a great place to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Amazing. Well, tell people where they can find you online if they are also a party of 5 and need some party of 5 tips.
Yes. So my husband and I have a podcast called Travel Party of 5. It is focused around family travel using points and miles. And you can also find me on Instagram at Travel Party of 5. I'm very responsive, so please send me a DM. We have some exciting trips coming up this year. So Yosemite, Japan, and Christmas markets in Europe. So
Christmas markets in Europe is so on my list. And I feel like everybody's going to Japan. I don't know if it's just now that I'm getting into this travel world, but even like my son's best friend's family's going to Japan. They're like not in this travel world. I'm like, why is everyone going to Japan?
It's definitely a hot destination. I think because after COVID, it took so long for Japan to reopen their borders too. So there's been a lot of like backup almost for people who had trips planned that had to cancel and cancel and cancel. And for us, my husband grew up in Tokyo, and so he has not been back in 20 years. So we are very, very excited to go back and see all the things he talks about. So
yeah, that'll be super special for you guys.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This was amazing. And now I'm going to research the Grand Hyatt Scottsdale Spa and potentially bringing my family to Grand Cayman.
Yes. You have to let me know when you're coming and maybe we can grab lunch or something. Yes.
Yes, definitely. That wraps up another episode of Trip Tales. If you have a trip you'd like to share about on the podcast, email me at triptalespodcast@gmail.com and I'll add you to the schedule. Also, be sure to follow the show so that you don't miss any upcoming vacation destinations. And if you have an extra minute in your day, please leave a review for the podcast. It helps more than you could imagine. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode of Trip Tales.